So it's time to tie up your hair, pet your familiar, and get ready to cook because today we are going to be making second breakfast from Lord of the Rings. Unfortunately, all we know about second breakfast in Lord of the Rings movies is a throwaway line or two and a reference to hobbits eating 6 or 7 meals a day in the books. However, I've been trying to wrap my head around this elusive meal because I've wanted to have it so badly. I've tried to plan Lord of the Rings feasts in the past, and I just haven't been able to figure out exactly what second breakfast is. Now, I think I have figured out, if not in actual hard evidence, I think in spirit. There are a few inspiration points we're going to be using for this to make it very Hobbit-worthy. For one, we have the movies, but those are mostly dinner-centric, so we mostly are using those to exclude foods. So we're going to take out any kind of dried meats and cheeses, we're going to take out stew, etc. Magic the Gathering did release a set of Lord of the Rings cards, and one of those is second breakfast, which does include things like a Victoria sponge cake, whipped cream and strawberries, and thumbprint cookies. Lastly, we also know that Tolkien was British and so likely did have inspiration from British breakfasts and afternoon teas. So essentially we're going to be making second breakfast as a hybrid between those two things. We are going to be making elevated berries and cream, blueberry scones, thumbprint cookies, bacon, and toast and coffee. We're going to start with the thumbprint cookies first. To start, we're doing an updated creaming method to make these cookies. We're going to take 1 cup of room temperature butter and we're going to add it into our stand mixer bowl. Then we're going to add in our sugars. In this case, we have a 1/3 cup of white sugar and a 1/3 cup of light brown sugar. We're going to add the sugars and beat them until they're very well combined. Next, we're going to add in our egg yolk, and we're going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract. In a separate bowl, we're going to put together 2 1/4 cups of flour and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're going to add that into our bowl together, and we're going to mix it in together with our hands with the flour and the butter. I'm going to let this sit in the fridge now to hydrate and to let that gluten relax. After this has been sitting in the fridge for about 30 minutes, we're going to go ahead and portion them out. We're going to weigh them into 25 grams each portions because it helps them cook evenly whenever they're about the same size. The reason why we let it rest in the fridge so long is because gluten does not develop well at cold temperatures, and so putting it into the fridge after we've been handling it helps make sure that we're not going to get really dense, chewy cookies at the end of our bake. After this, we're going to roll them in sugar, and then we're going to gently use our thumb to make these little thumbprints in them so that they can put our jam in here. Now, I made my little too big, so I'd recommend making them slightly smaller. To really make sure that gluten is relaxed, we're going to make sure we're controlling the temperature here, and after these are all rolled out and you have your little thumbprints in them, we're going to put them in the fridge while we take care of our filling. We're going to heat up our jam. For this case, I used rhubarb, and we're going to heat it up until it is no longer firm and should be pretty easy to stir here. We're going to spoon it into each little indent, and then we're going to bake them at 375 for about 12 minutes. They might be slightly soft when they come out of the oven, but they will continue to bake on the sheet, so just leave them there and allow them to cool completely. Next, we're going to do our blueberry scones, and we're going to use a recipe by Linda Letellier. For this one, we're going to do an updated biscuit method for incorporating butter. We're going to make sure that oven is still preheated to 375 degrees, and in a large bowl, we're going to combine 2 cups of flour, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and we're going to whisk that together until no lumps remain. Then we're going to take our 1/4 cup of chilled butter and we're going to massage that into the dough. They should eventually resemble coarse crumbs. We're going to add in a cup of blueberries, and here I've tossed them with flour so that they don't leak. In a separate bowl, we're going to take 3/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. We're going to add in a large egg and beat that. We're going to add that in with a rubber spatula until the dough starts to form. Then we're going to transfer it to the surface like I did here. We don't want to overwork this, again because of that gluten development, but then we're going to divide them up into our wedges, and we're going to bake them for about 20 minutes. Next, we're going to take care of our berries. In this case, we're going to just simply cut the tops off of them and either cut them into quarters or halves. We're going to sprinkle them with some sugar in order to macerate them. We're going to add in a little bit of salt, and we're also going to add in a little bit of orange liqueur. You can just set that aside until we're ready to eat it. Next, we're going to make our whipped cream. we're going to take half a pint of heavy whipping cream, and we're going to slowly add in a half cup of sugar while the stand mixer is going. You're also going to add in about a teaspoon of either almond or vanilla extract, and we're going to whip it until it reaches about soft peaks. Next, we're going to fry up our bacon here. And if your pan cooks unevenly, like mine does here, you want to make sure that you're moving the bacon around or moving the pan around just so it can get evenly browned on all sides. We're going to go ahead and cook this to our liking. For me, I like it very crispy, so you're going to notice that I'm going to darken mine a little bit darker than you might do yours. We're also going to go ahead and make our French press coffee. We're going to heat up about a quart of hot water in our tea kettle, and we're going to pour that over about 3 tablespoons of coarsely chopped coffee beans. We're going to let that sit for a few minutes, and then eventually we're going to plunge it when we're ready to serve. We're also going to go ahead and make some sourdough toast here. So I have a loaf of sourdough here that I purchased. We're going to go ahead and put that in a few slices, and we're going to toast that in our toaster oven. And there you have it. We have second breakfast from The Hobbit. Now, I really love this. I loved the little almond flavor in the Thumbprint cookies. The blueberry scones were nice and moist. The strawberries and cream paired wonderfully. The coffee was nice and strong. I definitely felt like I was in a hobbit hole when I was eating this. Now, a lot of this is not familiar friendly, so unfortunately he will not be getting a bite today. If you want to continue learning how to cook, make sure you like this video and subscribe to see more content, but otherwise thank you for watching.
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.